Following the deadly mass shooting in Uvalde, Texas, which ended the lives of 19 children and 2 adults, politicians have been all over social media giving their thoughts and prayers, while, of course, promising to do absolutely nothing. Why is that? Well, it's because of the money. So now I want to point out here Jordan Yule, who is a contributor to TYT and does an excellent show. And he has decided to come out and shame these politicians by posting the amount of legal bribes that they have taken from the gun lobby under their fake outrage over dead children. So I want to show you that. Just an example of, the things that he had been posting. Okay. Chuck Grassley, 2 days of killing innocent children and teachers. Sickening, heartbreaking. Schools should be a safe place for students and educators. We stand with Robb Elementary, an entire Uvalde, Texas community. And he posts, oh, look, he got $226,007 from the NRA. Average gun deaths in a state of Iowa, 264. Oh, interesting. Let's move on. We got another one in here. Senator Marsha Blackburn, horrified and heartbroken to learn of the significant loss of life in the shooting in Uvalde, Texas. Please join me in lifting their loved ones up in prayer. Thank you to the local first responders working on the scene. Blackburn took $1,306,130 from the NRA. The average gun deaths in the state, Tennessee, 1,103. There's more. Senator Pat Toomey, Pennsylvania. Today I join all Americans in mourning those whose lives have been stolen in Uvalde. This tragedy is as horrifying as it is heartbreaking. My deepest condolences are with the families and loved ones of those killed, with those who are injured, and with the entire state of Texas. He took $1,475,448 from the gun lobby. The average gun deaths, Pennsylvania, 1,503. Going on. Mitch McConnell, horrified and heartbroken by reports. I'm sorry, let me try that again. Horrified and heartbroken by reports of the disgusting violence directed at innocent school kids in Uvalde, Texas. The entire country is praying for the children, families, teachers, and staff when the first responders on the scene. He took $1,267,139. Average gun deaths, 690. Mitt Romney, Mittens Romneyton III, Esquire. This man who claims to be, so moderate. So moderate. He says, grief overwhelms the soul. Children slaughtered, lives extinguished, parents' hearts wrenched, incomprehensible. I offer prayer and condolence, but I know that is grossly inadequate. We must find answers. Well, we can find the answers in your checkbook, Mitt. NRA donations, $13,647,000. $647,676. Average gun deaths in the state of Utah, 365. One for each day of the year. So, thoughts and prayers, everybody. Thoughts and prayers. We must find answers. Except the most obvious answer, which is to do something about the guns. But to be fair, this is not just Democrats. Or I'm sorry, this is not just Republicans, it's Democrats too. Democrats too. Look, here's one of the most damning things that Jordan posts. Texas Democrat Representative Henry Cuellar doesn't plan to give away NRA donation in the aftermath of gun massacres. I'm heartbroken with the mass shooting at Robb Elementary School. 15 families in the South Texas community and in the entire nation are in mourning. Henry Cuellar, one of the most corrupt corporate Democrats in the House, the man who voted against protecting women's reproductive rights, and has an A rating with the NRA, and is also under investigation by the FBI. And you know, there was a primary race last night between Henry Cuellar and progressive Jessica Cisneros. Okay? Now guess which side House leadership was on when it came to that race. Well, before I get to that, and you probably already know the answer, but just bear with me for a minute. I want to give you Nancy Pelosi's statement on this. She says this: words are inadequate to describe the agony and outrage at the cold-blooded massacre of little school children and a teacher, by the way, it's 2 faculties, members, at Robb Elementary School today. This monstrous shooting stole the futures of precious children who will never experience the joys of graduating from school, chasing the career of their dreams, falling in love, and even starting a family of their own. The hearts of all Americans are broken as we pray for the families left forever shattered and a community left forever scarred by the unspeakable grief of losing a loved one. We also extend our sympathies to all those who have lost a loved one to gun violence over time, as this horrible crime deepens their suffering. We are united in our deep gratitude for the heroes who put their lives on the line to respond to this deadly mass shooting. Across the nation, Americans are filled with righteous fury in the wake of multiple incomprehensible mass shootings in the span of just days. This is a crisis of existential proportions. For our children and for every American, for too long, some in Congress have offered hollow words after these shootings while opposing all efforts to save lives. It is time for all of Congress to heed the will of the American people and join in enacting the House-passed bipartisan common sense life-saving legislation into law. Nancy Pelosi. Here is James Clyburn, House Whip. He says this: while we wait to learn more, my heart goes out to Robb Elementary School and the entire Uvalde, Texas community in the wake of today's tragedy. Our children ought to be able to go to school without fear of gun violence. When is enough enough? The time for action is long overdue. Both Pelosi and Clyburn, along with Steny Hoyer, and a lot of the Democratic establishment, both supported wholeheartedly Henry Cuellar, a man with an A rating from the NRA. And it wasn't just Dem leadership, massive spending by PACs, special interest groups, all coming to support Henry Cuellar over an actual progressive. Look, AOC pointed this out. Here's what she tweeted. On the day of a mass shooting and weeks after news of the Supreme Court's impending decision to overturn Roe, Democratic Party leadership rallied for a pro-NRA, anti-choice incumbent under investigation in a close primary. The difference between them, by the way, is about 177 votes. They pushed so hard, dropped so much money on this race. Mainstream media smeared Cisneros. But yet they support this guy. This guy. She says, accountability. Democratic Party leadership rallied for a pro-NRA anti-choice incumbent under investigation. Robocalls, fundraisers, all of it. Accountability isn't partisan. This was an utter failure of leadership. Congress should not be an incumbent protection racket, and sadly it is treated as such by far too many. The fact is those who fail their communities deserve to lose. They don't need rescuing from powerful leaders who state that they fight for gun safety, the right to choose, and more. So, you want to talk about hollow words? I don't think anybody is more hollow than Democratic leadership. I mean, Republicans at least tell you that they're monsters. They're right up front about it. Yes, we are monstrous, horrible people. We will wreck you if you vote for us. Hey, honesty, right? They tell you exactly what they're going to do. The Democrats lie to you. They give you pretty little lies. Oh, don't worry. We're gonna fight for you. We're gonna protect you. Don't worry. Just vote harder. Elect us. We'll do something about it. And of course, when you do, when you elect them, they do this. All that money given to the Democrats, the Democratic Party, the DNC. Guess where it went? Henry Cuellar's pocket. To trash a progressive. Disgusting. Disgusting. Speaking of hollow, by the way, let's go to Joe Manchin. Joe Manchin. Now, he says that he would do anything I can to move common sense gun legislation forward. Except, of course, for the one thing that might actually move gun control, common sense gun legislation forward, and that would be eliminating the filibuster. He refuses to do that. So nothing, useless, worthless, completely and utterly empty. And then he goes and he justifies it by saying this. Everyone wants to go filibuster, filibuster, filibuster. Get rid of that. That's the easy way out. How? If the filibuster is eliminated, what makes you think they won't reverse it immediately if they don't like what we do? Hey, as long as we're doing hypotheticals, Joe, what's to prevent them from doing that anyway, once they get back into power, after Democrats get the floor wiped with them in the midterms? Which is a pretty good possibility at this point, because Democrats have delivered nothing to their base, but failure after failure after failure. Oh, but you understand? He got a watered-down infrastructure package and a little bit of COVID relief forever ago. What have they delivered since? Nothing. Nothing. Hey, look, turns out if you actually try to do things, you might actually win. But no, they don't want to. They don't want to win. He then says, I'm just hoping we don't throw things out again and politicize things to make a political point. We're for this and you're for that. That's crazy. What? He said that it's also necessary to have GOP support in order to enact meaningful change. Look, we know Republicans will do absolutely nothing. They've been very honest about that. They don't care. They don't actually care. Thoughts and prayers, that's all they have. So, look, they've blocked every single gun bill that has been brought up. That's a fact. Joe Manchin knows that. And Joe Manchin, what he's doing is he is refusing to do his actual job, which is to legislate. And is putting the onus, very conveniently, on Republicans who he knows are completely bought off by the gun lobby. So all he knows is that he can do nothing and blame Republicans. And, well, hey, that's a pretty good excuse. Joe Manchin doesn't care about your kids. Almost none of them do. All the elites, these are the people that send their kids to private schools. But then, you know, when yours go to public school and get murdered because they refuse to do a goddamn thing, they don't care. Doesn't affect them. Not at all. These are your so-called leaders. Vote out every incumbent.